In this video, I'm going to talk about the influence of Eastern philosophies in the UK and how have the concept of meditation, manifestation, law of attraction, all these metaphysical beliefs are slowly being incorporated in the modern society, and the contradictions it causes sometimes, and the positive effect it has on well-being. So basically, I personally was going through so much contradictions, so much paradoxes in my beliefs because of the contradiction between Eastern philosophy and Western philosophy. And as I kept on digging beneath the surface and trying to understand what are the causes of all these paradoxes in my head, that's when I realized it's because of the contradictions between philosophies that I've adopted in my life. So living in the UK, in a country where basically economic system is at the heart of what runs a country in most Western societies. So that may not be true, but what I mean is you need to pay bills, you need to have an income, and all this in itself causes a contradiction with the essence of Eastern philosophy. So what I mean is, obviously, because there's so much work pressure and everything else, mental health becomes an issue, people being disconnected from each other being an issue, and these things do exist in the UK, at least currently. And what I realized is, looking back at where the contradiction starts from Eastern philosophy and Western philosophy, is this is overly simplified, by the way. I would recommend making your own research, and I'm oversimplifying this just for the sake of addressing this issue of the paradox in beliefs that's created in our minds that stems from the Eastern and Western philosophy that are different. And there's reasons for it, and a very simple reason is the geographical location and climate, because a lot of Eastern philosophies came from China and India, and in those locations, I would say India, that land experiences 4 seasons. Therefore, if they say let's go and it will come, it's because the climate will do its job and seeds will grow and you will have food. But that's not the case in the Western world, because the locations did not necessarily have 4 seasons in terms of climate to let things go. They had to find a way, they had to figure out a way to get food or to get things that they needed. Therefore, trade became a thing. So they needed to find a way so they could exchange things and get what they need, because they didn't have it. So they had to act. They could not sit back and say, let go, surrender, and it will come. I hope this is clear. But what I mean is, essentially, for me, I cannot sit in the UK and say, it will come. I will surrender to everything and it will come. Yes, to a certain degree, I will surrender. But after I've done the necessary action for what satisfies my wants and needs: food, clothes, shelter. But that's just the way the modern society is. However, the ancient philosophy, the ancient Eastern philosophy, does help in well-being, in freeing the mind. But I believe if we really get carried away with the whole philosophy, it will not work unless there is an absolute radical shift in consciousness of every single human that exists on earth. That everyone is open to experiencing oneness. Apart from that, action and strategy is the way to grow financially. So for me, to simplify everything, I say, this is for me, you don't need to listen to this, but I believe the best way to experience the human form in the best possible way in the West is to have 4 objectives. Healthy body, clear mind, free spirit, and financial abundance. A balance between these 4 would be ideal. However, when you're clearing your mind and freeing up your spirit, we must not get carried away with that, because financial freedom and financial abundance is another goal. So each of these 4 things, which are elements that help to that contribute towards our human experience, need attention and need their own watering, need their own sun. Basically, we need to work on each of them differently, because you cannot plant potato and get carrot out. If you want potato, you plant potato. If you want carrot, you plant the seed for a carrot. So going back to my whole point is that I personally don't see a way to adopt a whole Eastern philosophy living in a Western country. However, it really helps me to free my mind, let my spirit grow. But obviously there are many ways to work on the body, which is the simplest one out of these 4 principles. But I could just go to gym, do yoga, walk, dance, exercise, play football to get the body in shape. But going back, Eastern philosophies do help me to feel free as a spirit, to have a clear mind. But in order to have financial freedom, financial abundance, or just be okay with finances, pay the bills, maybe your goal is not to be ambitious and to be really financially wealthy, but having debts or not being financially stable will affect your spirit and your body and your mind. It won't let it be clear because of the subconscious effects of financial pressure, or just food to eat, or just simple stuff. So I believe there needs to be a balance and a good understanding of how Eastern philosophies can help us grow in the Western world without carrying us away, because there are parts of it which do not necessarily work here in the West. A lot of it does, but not all of it. So my suggestion is to really understand where the Eastern philosophy came from. Where does the West philosophy come from? Where does the actual contradiction come from? Because there is. And because I experience these paradoxes in my head, I don't want anyone else to go through it. So yeah, do read why Westerns needed to trade, why they needed to find a way. So yeah, I hope all this information is useful, and thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care. Ciao.